and asked folks if they were interested in joining the Air Force. The primary reason I joined the Air Force was for the opportunity to go to school. So I joined the Air Force and was able to go to school nights. It took me 9 years to get my undergraduate degree in history, secondary education. And after receiving my degree, I was commissioned as second lieutenant. And then I went back to school again at night and received a master's degree in logistics management from Florida Institute of Technology. And over the years, I've just been traveling around the Air Force and just seeing a lot of great places, meeting a lot of wonderful people, and I've just been blessed. It's been great.
Very good. Captain Kappel.
Well, I was raised in Philadelphia and suburbs of Philadelphia, and I guess I was most fortunate to have a career counselor that saw something in me that I perhaps didn't see in myself, and stimulated me in high school to do well. I was about 2 days away from enlisting when the scholarship, the Naval ROTC scholarship arrived, and I went to Miami of Ohio, just north of Cincinnati. From there, I went on to flight training and have lived in Japan, I've lived in Italy, been throughout the world, and I suppose that the one key ingredient is continuing to educate myself about the world and the people that I deal with and the people themselves.
You know, I think that both of you have indicated that it is possible to make a determination as to what you wish to do with your lives and to be able to pursue those things. And I think in your case, Col.Brown, it has been in the Air Force, and in your case, Captain Kappel, it has been in the Navy. But let's look at the service branches that you're connected with, and let's look at that particular area that's referred to as Reserve Officers Training Corps. And Colonel, let's do it by having you to put the ROTC within the hierarchy of other service-oriented kinds of programs that it will eventually lead a person to being commissioned into the service. Let's do it from that perspective so that our audience will know that there's something outside of the ROTC.
Okay, well, the Air Force ROTC program is designed to build Air Force leaders. We try to build Air Force leaders and citizens for America, and we do this through our program of offering college-level curriculum to these young kids who come into our programs. And basically, you have 4 classes. The freshmen have, this is the Air Force, an introduction to the Air Force. Then we go into an area called development of air power, and in the junior year, we talk to them about leadership and management. And then we go into the national defense policies, and all along we're giving them cumulative knowledge so that when they do go on active duty, they will have a feel for what we're about and being one of the most technologically advanced services in the world.
You know, Captain Kappel, where does the the Naval ROTC fall within the other service branches? I mean, there are other ways that you can be commissioned into the service outside of going the Reserve Officers Training route, is there?
Certainly there is. There's many in the Naval Service, and I say Naval Service to include the Marine Corps as well. You can obviously out of high school go into the service. You can go out of college, you can enlist in the service and become an officer. You go through the OCS or the Officer Candidate School. The Marines have a PLC program, Platoon Leadership Program, and an officer career program as well. There's many different avenues. What we're looking for is people who want to accept a level of responsibility and accountability that we want to give them. They have to have the basis of a character that we can develop, and they all do. But we're looking for people with a core character, just the same as the Air Force and the Army, that are willing to serve their country.
You know, Colonel Brown, when we talk about the ROTC, whether we're talking about the Air Force or the Navy, I think that many young people think in terms of the opportunities that are provided. Now, if a student is to become involved with what you're doing, what are some of the steps that he or she ought to take at this particular point in their lives?
Well, if an individual, depending on what level they are, if they're coming out of high school and they have good grades, they can apply for Air Force ROTC scholarships, and we give quite a few of those scholarships to kids. Roughly 62% of those scholarships are for engineering-type degrees. We also give scholarships in science, about 37%, and then 1% for those people who are non-technical. But The Air Force is just looking for people who want to be Air Force officers, who want to do well. As far as my program is concerned, all you have to do is to enroll in Air Force ROTC. You come in and take it as you would any other course in the university curriculum. And while you're looking at us, we're also looking at you. And we only take the best qualified to make them Air Force officers. It's like an introductory course for the first 2 years, where we're looking to see if you're what we want, and you're looking at us to see if we're what you want. And then at the end of that second year of the sophomore semester, we determine whether or not you have what it takes to go off the field training. If you do, in fact, go to field training and complete it, then you come back and you enter what we call the Professional Officer Corps, where you are at that time considered an Air Force officer candidate.
Now, that would put you at about a junior year in your academic career.
Exactly.
And for the next, now, what kind of assistance does the Air Force give people who they have finally brought to that particular point in terms of leadership?
Well, initially, a kid is just taking the course, but once they get into the junior program, you know, if they haven't already been put on scholarship, we put them on scholarship, and we give them $1,000 a year for tuition, and we also give them $150 a month stipend. It's tax-free. We pay for their books and their fees.
And so there's a tremendous advantage if a person might be so inclined to become involved in one of the service academies. Is that what we're saying, Captain Kappel?
Yes, very much so. A very similar program with the Air Force. Some twists a little differently. We have a scholarship program, but you can also enter as a college programmer, similar to what Sam was talking about, where you have a chance to come into the unit, see what it's about, and we will, at the end of the freshman year, or end of the sophomore year, try to get a scholarship for that individual, and certainly by the junior year. But we have many of our folks come in with a scholarship for 4 years. You actually have a year of grace. By the time you begin your sophomore year, you have to make a firm commitment, in which case there's some commitment for the scholarship money that's being spent. But it's a similar program, and we do very much the same, developing and looking at the character of the individual.
Very good. And of course, what we've got about 30 seconds before we end this particular segment. And when we come back, we want to talk about the relationship between these two institutions. That is, Col.Brown, you representing Tennessee State University, and Captain Kappel, you representing Vanderbilt University. But you do sponsor a joint program together, and we want to talk about that sponsorship and some of the other things associated with that during second segment. And we'll be back with you following this short